Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the Reality of Real Estate podcast. I am one of your hosts, Christopher Lynch, and welcome my co-host.
Hey everybody, my name is Brianna Lehman.
We give you a real take on making homeownership attainable.
We will be breaking down real-life scenarios, trends in the current market, and giving you our personal tools to make homeownership not just your dream, but your reality.
Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and ready to take action towards building your own empire.
Because when you invest in real estate, you aren't just purchasing a home, you're investing in your future. I saw Michelle Williams last night at the Palace.
Yeah, I had no clue.
I was actually, at one point yesterday, I was like, I wonder if Chris and Haley are going to be there. I knew Lucas would. I didn't even ask him. And I was just like, Lucas and Danny will be there, whatever. But
you didn't think Tiff would go?
I did. I thought the whole crew would be there. I thought like Lucas Live Media would be covering it. So when I saw Danny stand up and ask her question, I was like, hey, I knew it. It was so good.
I'm Jelly Belly.
Good. It was a free event, unless you did VIP. She was there talking about her book called Checking In, all mental health. It was literally therapy. Like, I left there like, whoa, I feel different. Like, I really took stuff from her, so it was good.
Did you wake up different?
No. I'm just kidding. I did. No, I ordered her book. I ordered it. I didn't know after Coachella, when she went with Beyonce and Kelly, obviously, that she checked herself into an institution for depression right after. And they were like, whoa, I didn't know. Actually, I felt like she kind of shaded Beyonce a little bit. She didn't say anything about her, but she was like, after I checked in after Coachella, my sweet friend Kelly Rowland reached out to me, and we were all sitting there like, what about Beyonce? She didn't say nothing. Maybe she's not allowed to speak her name at her events, though, too.
Well, I feel like that might be the case because even when Kelly does interviews,
she doesn't talk about Beyonce.
She doesn't, and she shuts it down. But it also is like very clear that Kelly and B are like real best friends, and they look at each other as sisters.
Right. And actually, to your point with that, maybe she's so sick of it being
a thing,
like, clouded by Beyonce, too, that's fair.
I mean, she does have her, I don't even know what the commercial is. But
the Uber commercial?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, yeah.
So that's true. That is fair. She's probably like, I'm here to talk about my book, my success, the next chapter in my life. Beyonce's amazing. We love her, but that's not.
Yeah, because that's when Kelly talked about her movie on Netflix, and Charlamagne had asked her. She immediately shut it down, and she was like, "That's not what I'm here for. You ask her. I'm here to promote my movie, and so on and so forth." And she was like, "Stop asking me about her. You want to know? Ask her." And
fair.
I was like, "All right, cool."
Okay, fair.
So maybe it's a little bit of that.
Yes, but one thing that she talked about last night that like pertains to our businesses is actually it was one of the questions that were asked is like, how do you separate yourself, like, as singer, Grammy award winner, to like an actual human being, to like the next steps? And I thought about that like in our careers, how do real estate works all the time, and I've had moments where I am in my business has actually defined how I felt about myself.
Ooh,
where I'm like, wow, I'm really slow, I must not be good at this, or like, wow, I didn't hit my goal, I didn't work hard enough, I didn't do this. And it just was like really a moment for me last night where I was like, wait, you can be I'm still an amazing agent, I know I am,
yes,
but I still have this life and this child, and there's a balance between it. So I was just like, that was really good. I was glad I went to that and
that's good.
Got a little healing there, because it's easy to get wrapped up in the numbers and the market and the business. And when the ebbs and flows and the waves come, it's easy to get like,
I mean, we live in this disgusting comparison society.
Yes.
And you are constantly like looking at, even like if it's just on Instagram and not even about the business, but it's like, okay, you feel like you're working hard, but obviously it's not hard enough because like this person is doing this and they have this, they have that. And it's like, what have I done?
Right.
But yeah, no, like that's really good. And I actually had posted something on Facebook yesterday that just says, in all things give thanks, because I just think that a lot of us just sometimes forget to be grateful
Mm-hmm.
and to lead with gratitude
Yeah.
and grace basically for ourselves
She talked about
and
that too a lot last
every
night.
season of your life, because it's always going to be different.
Yep.
And you can have incredible years, seasons, or, just moments to where it's like, okay, like I did that, but we're always also like, what's next?
Right. And we have talked about this on this podcast where in the real estate and lending world, we're months ahead. I'm
Yes.
looking at April. I'm looking at May. I'm already through another quarter of the year in my mind where it's
Yes.
like, where's my business coming from? Where am I cultivating? What are we
Mm-hmm.
doing?
Yeah.
So it's very easy for us to get wrapped up in that instead of
Yeah.
being very present and
Yeah.
appreciating our moments. Wow,
I
well,
put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and
is it yours? I thought it was mine.
Yeah, but apparently I'm just going to put it on sleep
I have an eyelash.
because then I thought you weren't even getting them anymore. And look at you.
Guys, I get 'em all
This
the
girl does not
time.
have 3 lashes as usual. She
What?
actually has
I
a
have full set.
I was
about
gonna
to
say,
I
but
was
you
like, don't
said-
blame me.
that I'm not getting them anymore. Da, 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 da. But here she is.
Nikki, don't listen if you're listening.
She's got 48 lashes on each eyelid.
Okay, so let's get into what people are really here to listen about. It's real estate. You said you had some things to talk about.
Yeah, so I had to remember that it was, professional.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like, okay, yeah, I did post these on like my personal TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like a clip from one of our previous episodes about debt consolidation and for people who just are kind of overextended.
Yeah.
And 2 people, I won't say like their usernames,
Mm-hmm.
but we're just like, no, F that. And I'm in like a good
aggressive.
thank you. So I had to
Oh my
like
gosh.
pull myself back in. I'm just like,
Mhm.
no, like professional person has to respond to this because it is a professional video. But a HELOC it's not always going to be for everyone. Same way that a cash out refinance isn't going to be for everyone. But I also would say that you as an individual and your situation isn't everyone's situation.
Right.
So I'll even use myself for an example is that like I bought my house in 2021. I have a very low interest rate when they were basically, those little penny stores. That's how I feel like interest rates were back then. And so for someone like myself, no, it wouldn't necessarily make sense for me to look at a cash out refi if I needed to. But what would make sense is for me to tap into the equity in my home and use a home equity line of credit. And they are a little bit more flexible. Just depends on who you go through. Like CCM offers one that it allows you to draw from it for 5 years. So which means that you can actually pull money from the line of credit for up to 5 years, but it has a 30-year repayment plan. And sometimes that's just what people need, whether you're doing home projects or you need to pay off debt.
Right.
And it's at a very reasonable interest rate compared to rates that you pay on credit cards and even sometimes on like personal loans. But the other big thing that I just don't think that people take into consideration is that not everyone qualifies for credit cards. Not everyone qualifies for personal loans. But when you own a home, and if you can meet their credit score requirements and their debt to income ratio requirements, mortgages are always going to be more flexible than those options.
Right.
So instead of just looking at a video, making an assumption that doesn't obviously apply to you, does it apply to anyone else in your life?
Right.
And be the resource to share the information with that person, because I guarantee you that 2 best friends, nothing is going to be the same.
Right. And I think too, like to all of that, our purpose of this is everybody's situation is different. We've said that a lot of different times. There are people who are in positions where I have told them, I think right now, just stay put, just wait. Like everybody's situation is going to be different, and we're not speaking to the masses. I mean, we are speaking to the masses, but not as a generalization. We're just saying like, here is the information. Here's the knowledge. We're educating. We're trying to educate. That's our goal here. And if you have questions or like we talked about something that doesn't seem like it fits your life, reach out to us and we can
Yeah.
talk about it, you know? So we're always going to have those people. I'm kind of flattered that we had our first like
Troll.
troll. That's cool.
Yeah, because when I saw
That's
that,
cool. Like that's so, what world are we in where it's like, if you're getting trolled, that's it.
yeah, because when I saw that and it was like F that, but like F was like literally there was, I don't know how many U's were in it. And I was like, all right, calm down, bro. Because
So that's good though that our algorithm is hitting people we don't know.
yeah, but yeah, it just, I had to,
Calm down.
all right, Chris, like you can't respond the way you want to
Especially when
respond.
it's a stranger that you don't know and you're just like, whoa, where did you come? Why are you so mad? We're just
Yeah.
out here doing our thing. So.
And then the other person was just like, they need to look into a personal loan. But again, not everyone qualifies.
Right. And it doesn't make the most sense. Like, what's the interest rate on a personal loan versus like pulling out a home
Yeah, because I mean,
line
like if you can get a HELOC interest rate at, we'll just say somewhere between like 7 and 9%, but then depending on where your credit is at, and if you're going to be paying 15, well, I even say like 12 to 15% on a personal loan, like as an interest rate, the HELOC is still your better choice.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like you can even pull in like the snowball effect. So if you can get a lower payment, but like if you can pay what you were already paying,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to basically help yourself in your situation immensely just because
Right.
you're going to be able to take care of it and a lot sooner than you would be because that payment is going to be a fixed payment. And it's not going to be like, okay, like if you have $9,000 on a credit card, but in reality, your minimum payment is $263 and maybe you're paying $300 on it a month. The majority of that is interest and
Mhm.
it's really not making a dent in it. And so you would need to start making larger payments. But again, if you're not in a position to be able to do that, that's where a HELOC becomes your best friend. But we
Right.
also have the ability to where like I can do a debt comparison analysis with you. I can show you, take in an average of what you're paying and on personal loans, credit cards, and look at what it would be if we had to explore a cash out refi. And so I was professional and kind and said that our purpose is to educate and just provide the knowledge
Right.
because not everyone knows
Mm-hmm.
all of this stuff.
Right. And not everybody has been through that or is
Yeah.
in a position where they have the option for either, like you said. So, all right. So, my question is someone closes on their home. Obviously, you have to have equity for a HELOC. Is there a minimum time frame that you can cash it out? Because some people we've seen buy houses recently and they have like quite a bit
Yes.
of equity. So,
The best rule of thumb is that you want to try to make sure that you have owned your home for basically at least 6 months. Now there are some companies out there that will allow you to do it right away. But I look at it as 6 to 12 months of you owning that home, and depending on what you put down, then you can consider it from that perspective. But I actually just was talking to a guy this morning, and he bought his house in February of 2023 for it's like $220,000.
mm-hmm.
It's now worth like 275. And if he would want to, he would have the ability to where it's not going to be a large line of credit, but most HELOCs let you go anywhere between 80 to 85% loan to value. So you would just have the ability to where basically you take 85% of that 275 and depending on what he owes, just subtract that out. And then as long as it meets the minimum line of credit, like loan amount request, he would be able to tap into it. So you can look at it from that perspective. But I have a guy right now who is already thinking about doing a HELOC, but he's also putting 40% down. But he just wants something to have just as an emergency, like backup.
Right.
So like we'll look at it for him somewhere between like the next 4 to 6 months and just say, hey, like, do you feel like you still want to consider this and not based upon the fact that you are going to close next Friday and you're just like, I'm getting ready to put all this money into it, sort of a thing. So we just look at it from that perspective. And again, everyone's situation is different. That answered your question.
It did answer my question. I'm trying to think because I had another question, but I got wrapped up in that. So,
Oh, you needed some coffee and not your usual trash coffee, like good coffee.
what is my trash coffee?
I won't say their name.
It starts with an S.
Well, no, that's just because of where you go. It's trash because it's never hot.
That's true. I said it starts with an S as if people know.
Yeah, it's not like you're. Never mind. So I wanted to ask you, and it's been a question that has come up lately,
Mm-hmm.
and this is just part of a recap from episodes ago.
Yeah.
But like, how do you view home inspections, and like, what does that conversation look like if you have someone who is just like, I don't really have the money for a home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, then I need to talk to my lender because it's just going to change certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
um, like, what does that look like? Or
Yeah.
whatever.
So a home inspection is something that we talk about from the very beginning in our buyer's consultation too. Like we had talked about in our last episode of getting like the expenses up front, like prepare for it because it is important. And I always suggest that my buyers have a home inspection. This is what we see with our eyes is not going to be what the inspector sees. You know, they're
Right.
going to go in, they're going to really check all of the appliances. They do check appliances, but I mean like the mechanicals is what I was trying to say. The HVAC, the hot water tank, make sure that the well is good, like all of the things that you're going to want to make sure you are prepared for if something goes wrong, like that you're preparing for the future. So they're typically, I would say, anywhere between like $350 and $500 for a general home inspection, depending on the company you use and what that includes. Um, One of the things that I talk to my buyers about, and I feel this way very much, is okay, so say we go in, we spend $500, worst case scenario, on some inspections. That does not include well and septic. But then we release from the house. You spent $500 and saved a whole lot
Thousands.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
100,000, 200,000, whatever the cost of the house is. We have a conversation about what to expect in a home inspection. You're going to it's very rare I get a home inspection and it's nothing on it. I mean, that's never happened. There's always going to be something like,
Yeah, because it could even be a brand new home.
oh yeah, new
and
builds have stuff all the
Yeah.
time. Nobody's using it, you know, like in a new build, nobody has used it yet. So
Right.
once the inspector gets in there, like, oh, this faucet is leaking, or oh, this outlet doesn't work, it's not
Yeah.
wired correctly, things like that. So being prepared, the difference between like this is just a general maintenance of the home. These are things that as a homeowner you're going to keep up with. So be prepared for that. And then these are major things that we should
Yeah.
address or look into. And then something that we're seeing a lot recently, I would say, me personally, in listings, it will say selling as is. Like seller will make no repairs. So knowing that doesn't mean that we can't have a home inspection. You always have the right to an inspection, but still looking at it that way too, being a little more objective as we go through, knowing that, hey, the seller's already said up front they're not willing to do it. So are these things that you're going to
Be prepared to take
be
on.
prepared? Yeah, have the funds to do it. Like one thing, I just had one where the furnace was old, like it was very old, but it was still functioning very well. And the inspector's like, I would just budget for it the next few years. And they're like, yeah, we can do that. As long as we're not coming in tomorrow, we can budget. So
Nice. I like that. I've actually had 3 like clients find out thanks to a home inspection that it was well water instead of, like city water.
interesting. So it was marked wrong on the disclosures and stuff?
Yeah, on 3. And and like the one actually the inspector couldn't tell because it had access to both, but we didn't know until we got the appraisal. And it was just like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And if it's not on the
Which
disclosures
is
correctly,
interesting that the seller didn't know. Were they like estate properties? Were
the
they
one that they did not know, it was actually it was bank owned.
okay?
And so it made sense.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense. That's especially I would say bank-owned properties and stuff, you want to have inspections because of situations just like that where they genuinely don't know because
Yes.
they're sitting at a desk somewhere. They're just an asset manager.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And how do you suggest if a client should do like a radon?
So I get this question almost every time, and it's so like, yeah, because for me personally, I can't even give my opinion on it. I just have to give them the information and say, here's some information about radon, what it is, how it works. It is in your discretion. We can ask the seller if they're going to be willing to fix it. If not, is this a deal breaker for you? Or are you going to be able to budget if radon is high? Because if it's over 4.0 in Ohio, that is technically high. So for people who don't know, what they do during a radon inspection is they put a little monitor in the basement over a 48-hour time, and it's like constantly reading the levels of radon. If the average is over 4.0, then they say it's considered high and they would recommend a mitigation system. They can range from 900 to, I would say, 1,500 on the high end to have a mitigation system installed. So is this something you're willing to budget, or is this going to be a deal breaker for you? If it's going to be a deal breaker, we need to have it tested and negotiated.
Yeah.
And I usually have that conversation with the listing agents when I'm putting rate on a contract. It is the one inspection that they push back on because there's so many opinions on it. Some sellers are like, this is so stupid. Other sellers are like, hey, we already had one installed, or we're willing to work with you, so.
Like things like that are so fascinating to me because I'm
Mhm.
just like, okay, well, like, did you grow like, you know, a third ear or something because of it?
Yeah.
Or
Well, and it all depends too. I've had buyers where they had radon, it was very high, and they're like, we're not going to use the basement. Like, we're not finishing the basement. We don't care, but that's not everybody's stance on it. And it's
yeah,
fair. If you're going to have a kid living in the basement, okay, fair.
or if like that's like a kid or a family hangout spot,
Mhm.
then sure.
Right.
Or if your laundry is down there, and if you're someone who, is a
Mhm.
saint who, like folds laundry as it comes out, as
Mhm.
it's done in the dryer, and you do it like while you're at the washer and dryer.
Sure, sure.
But I don't know.
I don't,
It just
yeah.
it's fascinating to me
Mhm.
that it gets pushed back on, but also if someone says like, "Hey, it's been an issue," and people are just like, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do," and then if they
Mhm.
ask me and I'm like, "I don't know what you're supposed to do either," and
Yeah.
legally I can't tell you what to
Right.
do.
I've had buyers say, well, what would you do? And I'm like, I would research. I would form an opinion based on facts. And that's
Yeah,
all that I can offer for you because this is your home. So
good old. What would Jesus do? Brie? What would
what
you
would
do?
you I would research. I don't know. So that's
Oh,
a good question.
you're an overthinker, so
I
only
am
God
an
knows what that research would
overthinker. So
be.
I would go back and forth 100 times before I made a decision.
Um, and you mentioned something that like, properties being sold as is. Do you feel like that is going to continue to happen and that buyers could technically be in a position to where it's something that they should prepare for?
So as we head into spring, we are very hopeful that the market picks up, right? That
Please.
rates are going to come down a little bit. People are
Please.
going to sell their houses. We're going to see that. I could see a world again where it is actually buyers saying, hey, we're going to have an inspection, but it's for our knowledge only.
Okay.
And some sellers, I think that we're always going to see that, but I'm very hopeful it doesn't go back to where they are having to waive inspections to win in multiple offers.
Okay.
I'm sure that will still happen, honestly.
Okay. Um, Before like we wrap this up, one thing I
Yeah.
will say is that because inventory is so low,
Mhm.
and I had 3 of the same people right on the same house recently. I also had
That's stressful.
it is stressful, but it's different because like everyone's situation is different. So
Yeah.
it's like I can only guide you to like
Yeah.
fit your scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also like I had someone who lost on a bid. He went $35,000 over asking,
Mhm.
and he was one of 11 offers.
Yeah. Yep. That's back too. So
Yeah.
we can talk about that on the next.
So,
one, 'cause I have
yeah,
some
it's just
stories.
buckle up.
Buckle
because
up. We're ready. We're
Yeah.
ready.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Very soon.
I
Toodles.
can't stand
Bye.
you. Toodles. All right, friends, as we close things out today, remember homeownership is more than just a roof over your head. It's a symbol of your strength, resilience, and determination.
Take action, embrace growth, and never be discouraged about where you are in your journey.
And remember to follow us on Instagram at Reality of Real Estate Podcast.
Our emails are linked in the description below. You can reach us at
Christopher.lynch@ccm.com.
and my email is blaymanrealtor@gmail.com.
All right.
Toodles.